I'd now like to move on to some of the more recent research that we're doing, looking at not so much the activity in different regions of the brain, but more specifically how different regions of the brain talk to each other during thinking and feeling processes, particularly during thinking. And the thinking task that I'd like to mention is one where you have to create a mental image in your mind and rotate that mental image. It's a demanding task. Now, what we have found is that when people are rotating an image in their mind, certain regions of the brain talk to each other more. The more demanding the rotation, the bigger the angle they have to rotate, the stronger these regions talk to each other. And I just want to mention two regions which I think are rather interesting. When you have to create an image in your mind and rotate it, the left frontal cortex, these are in right-handed individuals, left frontal cortex, this region here, near the motor cortex, but forward, a region known as the supplementary motor cortex, and a region in the back of the brain, around on the right side, called the parietal cortex, talk to each other very intentionally. Now, what's the significance of those two regions? Well, what is interesting is this. The parietal cortex, particularly on the right side, is concerned with, if you will, processing where things are in space around you, keeping tabs of where things are, what you can reach for, what you can't, etc., where things are, basically, and your place in the scheme of things, physically, literally. The motor cortex, particularly the left motor cortex, particularly a region known as the supplementary motor cortex, plays a crucial role in organising your actions, literally physical actions. Now, if I were to, for example, be playing a ball game, and I'm about to catch a ball, I see the ball coming towards me. What's happening very quickly, literally almost on the fly, is the parietal cortex back here on the right side is tracking where that ball is and is, in a sense, predicting where it's likely to end up. Continue. It is talking, it is communicating for that particular purpose directly with my motor and supplementary motor cortex on the left side, and literally telling it, put yourself into position. And the particular communication that it occurs and the programs that are called up are all a result of experience. In other words, learning and neuroplasticity. But these dynamic changes get strengthened the more you do them, for example. So the more you perform a particular visuomotor, ball catching task, the better you'll be, for example. And we know from other neuroimaging studies, not our studies, but others, that, for example, during these type of visuomotor tasks, these regions of the brain talk to each other, which is what you'd expect. Now, the interesting thing is that we were getting the same kind of interaction between these brain regions when people were absolutely still and had their eyes open and just looking at the screen. In other words, the actions were purely in their mind, mental actions, and yet those very same mental actions cause the interaction between nervous neural regions that occur when they're actually doing it physically. Now, this is really very interesting because what it suggests is it supports the notion that a lot of sports psychologists, for example, have been talking about, that if you visualize yourself performing a particular action, and I might add that the notion of using visual imagery in meditation is one that goes back thousands of years in the Eastern philosophies of yoga and Buddhism, for example. What it suggests is that mental imagery is actually a very powerful methodology for changing the interaction between nerve cells, essentially building on neuroplasticity. And I think this has profound implications in education as well, where visualizing successful performance, for example, I think would, I'm making a bit of a leap here, would facilitate the ability of mastering certain sorts of tasks. We know this occurs with visuomotor tasks. I suspect it occurs in other sorts of tasks as well, but the precise details is beyond my area of expertise. But the recent discoveries that visual imagery, just imagining things, has such a powerful effect on the activity of the brain, similar to actual training, physical training, is of profound significance. The converse is also very interesting, and that is performing some physical action, some training, without actually focusing your attention on that would suggest that you're only going to get a fraction of the benefit. Because if the role of consciousness, which is central to visual imagery, you've got to be conscious, you're consciously creating the visual image, is so important. If that's left out, in other words, if you're sort of going through the motions mindlessly, 300 of these and I'll be better, etc., what this suggests is that mindless action has much less benefit than mindful action, where you are actually attending and focusing your attention as well. And the other one is that mindfulness, even without action, has a profound impact on the organisation of the brain as well.